Hiya, I'm going to show you this makeup look from scratch today, and I've decided while the football's on that I'll try and do makeups that match the colours of the flags of whoever's playing, just like a bit of a challenge to see what I can come up with. So today for Italy and Switzerland I had green, white and red in mind, so that's what I've used. As always, everything I've used is listed in the description of the video, so if you click to make it full screen, the title will come up along the top, click the arrow next to it and a full list of everything will drop down, but by all means please use these tips and ideas with whatever you've already got in your makeup bag. Right, well it's another really warm day today, so I'm going to focus on really colour correcting some of the redness and leaving the rest quite fresh. I'm going to start with a little bit of the Pixi Flawless Beauty Primer. This is quite a pearlescent primer, and I'm not always someone that uses primer, to be honest with you, but I always say if I am going to use one, I want it to do something other than just use it for the sake of using it. And this one is really great for adding a touch of radiance to the skin. I feel like I just look generally a bit dull in the skin today, and what I'm going to use is just a very full coverage concealer where I need it. So the sheen of this will kind of add luminosity to counteract the full coverage I'm going to use. So I'm going in essentially the areas that you're going to see the most of if you're looking at me forward on, and then I'm going to go over this with a little bit of my Bye Bye and Dry concealer from It Cosmetics, and I'm going to use a nice large brush so that I create a real wash of this. Let me show you how much I'm going to use. That much should be enough for the whole face with plenty to spare. So yeah, a nice thick brush to just really buff this out and give a really soft wash all over the complexion. I've been using this technique a lot in the warm weather because it just means I don't have to put a full layer of something all over my skin, and that it just kind of smooths and blurs everything out but gives me the coverage where I need it. Okay, I've used a little touch of that everywhere, and you can see how that primer just shines through. The next thing I'm going to do is go in with the Danessa Myricks Cream Contour, and I'm going to take this on the same large brush, but you'll notice I'm going to pat it off on the back of my hand before I go into the complexion. And the reason for that is, I think with any kind of creams, when you first put them on, you can leave little, track marks. Whereas if you're buffing it on the hand before it goes anywhere near your face, the track marks end up on your hand and not on your face. And actually, by the same logic, that's why I tend to put any complexion things, like my concealer I did a moment ago, I'd do it if it was a foundation on the back of my hand first, and then you're not putting loads of product straight onto your face. You're almost picking it up off your hand as you go along, and it means that you're not left with big quantities of makeup and then wondering how are you gonna buff it out. Oh, and while I'm kind of throwing my hair off my face, can I just ask you, if you're watching this, I'm in the middle of writing a piece about the curly girl method, and if you follow this or you have any favourite things that you use for curls in particular that are linked to that method, I'd love you to just let me know in the comments. I've got like a reel, it's such a comprehensive kind of method, isn't it, that so many people are so passionate about, and I'm really thoroughly researching it at the moment. But if you've got anything that you use that you love, I'd really love to hear from you. Now, before I add anything else to my complexion, I'm just going to take some powder down the centre of the face. Now I'm going to team green and red together, and so that might feel quite bright on its own, and if it doesn't feel too bright, I'll add a little bit of blusher. But just to create like a neutral canvas, I'm going to keep all of this quite fresh so that that can do the talking if we want it to. I'm going to really quickly go in with my Brow Power eyebrows. Okay, I'm going to go in with Mario's Master Metallics palette, and I'm going to take this kind of champagne colour and the olive green. In order for this to feel quite soft, I'm going to start really gently with the champagne colour all over the lids and a little bit as highlighter shade. And then I'm going to see how much of the olive green I can build into it and still let it feel nice and fresh. The thing is, when the weather is so warm, I want a bit of makeup on, but I don't want anything that would look or feel too heavy through the day. And these palettes by Mario, the metallic one in particular, they're so soft and buttery, and they also wear really well. Like if you were going on a night out and, you know, as the night goes on, your makeup doesn't look like when you first left the house, does it? I feel like with these palettes, they just wear really beautifully. Okay, I'm going in with a I've had this brush for that many years, 237. The name has nearly rubbed off, but not quite. I'm going to hold this brush and my little olive green shade and gently go through the socket here. A great thing to do that I'm going to do on this side, if you want to check that you'll be able to see all of these colours when you're resting, kind of pull a bit of a grumpy face and put the brush onto your eye that way. And then you know that even when you're, you know, intently listening to your friend over a bite to eat or wherever it is that you go in, you can still see these colours. I know that looks like a bit of a stripe at the moment, but when I've put them roughly where I want them, I'm going to blend them out and soften this whole thing. So taking a clean brush, I'm really going to soften this. I'm going to pack a little bit more green back into the corners. And my vision, God, I can't get my words out today, can I? My vision for this, there we go, is that the corners are nice and deep and then they soften out into nothing. Do you see how we've kind of got a moment of a bit more of a depth in those corners? And I'm going to repeat the same over here. And once they have been blended out, I'm just taking a little bit more green in these inner corners to create this illusion of a soft blend with a deeper socket. I'm going to take a tiny bit just along this lash line here, and I think I'm going to leave the under lashes quite clean today. I'm using an angled brush to do this and just gently join that outer corner to this upper lash line. Now I've just used this fresh from the pan, but by all means, if you mix this with a bit of a mixing medium, I've actually had so many people recommend one from Inglot that I haven't tried yet and I've been meaning to order. I think it's called Duraline, or I use the Peaches pigment drops. They're great. You can mix in any powder you have or like a loose pigment, anything like that, and just create more of a dense wash that will dry to a solid finish. But for me, just layering those shadows has created a nice, soft liner look. Right, I'm just going to curl the lashes. And do you know what? I'm so glad I've decided to do this because it's almost a bit more of an angular shape than I was planning for it to be. But I think because I've just been so focused on getting all of the colours to pop, it's pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to go in with the Doll Beauty Showstopper Mascara. I know I've mentioned this brand to you a lot, but honestly, the Doll Beauty girls are just so lovely. I really love the brand that they've created. They're so hardworking and they really just create all of the makeup products that they want to see on the market. So everything, like for example, that mascara, I can't say I've got another mascara with a wand as long as this one. They always seem to have a different spin on things that you might already have in your makeup bag. I just think they're fab. Now I'm going to put some lashes on, and usually I would get a full size set of lashes and trim them down to be the right kind of length for me. And Jennifer, I was speaking to you the other week and you said, you know, you struggle to get them to be the perfect fit. I thought I'd show you these Eylure 3/4 ones because they're designed to give a slightly more natural finish, but also that kind of length for a majority of people is going to be soft enough. I mean, if you've got smaller eyes, you might still need to chop them as well. Do you know something? I was just like cursing myself that I hadn't brought my scissors in because I'm so used to trimming them. How ridiculous is that? I was in the middle of a sentence about how you don't have to trim them and there's me moaning I haven't got my scissors. Right, I'm just going to get my lash glue. They do come with their own glue, which is great, but I love the Doll Beauty lash glue. I think it's really strong. And one thing about these as well, the band is so curved that you don't need to kind of worry about curling them. Sometimes I think with bands that are thicker, they can look a little bit straight, and then you kind of need to do a bit of bending to get them to have a nice arch that will hug your eye. But because these are already quite curved, you won't need to do that. Now, one thing I would usually do that I haven't done today is put a little bit of black liner for these to sit on top of in case of any emergencies, but I'm hoping that that little touch of green will do that job for me. So I'm going to leave those to go tacky for 30 seconds and then go in. Okay, looking down into my mirror, I'm just going to press those into place. Now, one observation I would make actually is that if you curl your lashes like I've just done, that might take a little bit more fiddling to get right into where you want them. But a few little tweaks and there we go. They're sitting really nicely. Let me do the other side. Okay. Really pressing them in. You want them as close to your natural lashes as you can get them. And these ones are really designed to give you that kick out at the end. So they're very natural looking, because see, the centre of my eyes there is not wowing your face, and it's just elongated the whole eye. If you wanted to, you could absolutely put some mascara on top of these. That's going to work really well to mould your, will merge your lashes with the strips. But I always leave them fresh because you can just peel them off, peel off the glue and reuse them. But whatever feels best for you. Okay, we've got red in the flag of Italy and Switzerland, so I'm going to go in with a nice red lip. I'm going to start with the Laura Mercier liner in crimson. And then just to be really precise, before I put lipstick on, I've kind of rubbed my lips, which is why they're a bit kind of ombre looking. I'm going to tidy the edges with some concealer. And then a little bit of Doll Beauty Lippy in red between the lines. Now I'm just going to go in and tidy up again. Okay, it's so warm. I'm going to powder this a tiny bit more. And I know this sounds mad because we've already got quite a bit of colour on, but it's just screaming at me. This little Pixie On The Go blush. These are kind of like a jelly consistency and they give you such a lovely radiance. Now I'm going to put this on the back of my hand and press it onto my cheeks from there, because with sticks I find if I swipe them I can remove the coverage I've built, and then I'm trying to cover the redness and it's counterintuitive. So I'm just going to press a tiny bit of this to pull this whole look together. And in an ironic twist of fate, I won't be watching the game, I won't be wearing this makeup, I'll probably be washing my face now because I'm working later on, but all ready for the game nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's anything in particular you want to see. I'm very mindful as well that now that the weather's a bit warmer, you might have different, you know, makeup beauty questions in relation to that, so if there's anything I can cover, let me know. But thanks for watching and I'll chat to you soon.